Hello, my name is Arush, and I'll be teaching you Spanish for nights and other basic stuff. So this is the Spanish for nights. As you can see here, I played e1, e4, 1 e5. That's what your opponent would probably play. Then you play knight f3, and they will probably play a knight c6 because then their pawn is otherwise their pawn is hanging. If they play 1 d6, then you'll probably just go d4 takes, pawn takes, knight takes. It goes something like there, attacking your pawn. Then you'll go knight there, guarding your pawn. So if they go knight here, then you play knight c3. Then they'll probably play knight f6, and then you play bishop to b5. This is called the Spanish for knights. I'm going to be teaching you 2 moves today. The first move for black is bishop to c5. So this is starting if bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight, knight takes pawn, bishop takes knight, pawn takes knight, knight takes e5. You go queen d4, and you're threatening checkmate over here. And there's not really a good way of guarding it. If you go something like knight here, then you lose your pawn and go and take there. That just works for you. So after bishop there, you castle, threatening to take. So he plays d6. If he plays a6 here, you take there, and you just win a pawn with his queen here. You just play knight back, and there's no more checkmate. So after d6, you can probably just play d3. Please note that d4 loses a pawn, because after takes, never mind, you can go d4 here, but I don't really like d4 for white. I just think that d3 is more solid. So he plays bishop d4, pinning your knight to your queen. You can take there because he's starting to go. In the future, he's starting to go knight d4. So just eliminate all the possibilities of getting your king exposed. Please note that if he just castles, and let's give black some moves. So you play a3, and then he castles. Let's say you play a4. Now he can go here, and after, let's just give black another move. Now let's just say he moves his bishop. Then you play knight takes, pawn takes, bishop here. He's threatening to move his knight. You go queen here, check, mate. So that's why you should do that. So then you take here, and here's some more moves, and this is what your position will look like after the bishop to c5 line. So then there's this move, d6. So then you castle. You can also play d4, but I like castling more. You play bishop e7, then you play d4, takes. Now he has to play bishop d7 here, or he loses a rook. And this is the basic idea of the d6 line. And if he plays a6 here, same thing. You win a pawn. Now it's time for a video for Mike Klein.
Take a look at the chessboard in front of you before I actually introduce the series. Looks pretty exciting for white, doesn't it? You're probably not even listening to my voice right now. You're probably wondering, why don't we just go ahead and give checkmate, right? Go ahead and play queen h7. Well, okay, not quite mate because the king runs away. So we're going to talk about this position in a second, but now might be a good time for me to tell you what is this series all about. Well, this series is about inviting all of your friends. Now, think about a birthday party you might have at your house. While you're having fun playing with all your friends, do you know what your mom's doing? Well, okay, she's serving cupcakes, but do you know what else she's doing? She's scanning your backyard to make sure that all of the friends that you've invited are having fun, okay? So take a look at this position. We're going to pretend that all of your big pieces are your friends, okay? Think about which ones are having fun at the party. Well, we know the queen and the rook are, right? They're on the open file. They're making a battery. This rook, okay, this rook's actually not doing so much. But if we were to figure out which piece is the most unhappy, it's this bishop right here on c1, sitting in a chair with no friends, nobody to talk to. And so if we were to talk about which is the worst placed piece, the friend that we need to invite to the party, it would probably be the rook or the bishop, okay? We need to make one of these pieces better, and then our attack on the h file might actually be worth something. By the way, chess kids, this is a plan you could use at many different parts of the chess game. If you are ever stuck without an idea in your chess game, just think, okay, what's my worst piece and how do I make it better? It's an excellent strategy for almost any chess position. I would say the bishop needs to get out, and what's a good spot for the bishop? Well, again, let's go back to this move, queen h7. We figured out the king would actually run away to safety. And the king's escape square, we call that Luft, his air that he's breathing, is a dark square. So in this position, let's get our dark squared bishop to aim at that square f8. Why don't you pause your videos and see if you can come up with a plan to stop the king from being able to go to f8. Well, chess kids, if you found this idea of putting the bishop on the long diagonal, you'd be right. The big question is, how do we get it there? You may have been thinking of the move pawn to b3, with the idea of bringing the bishop to a3. Then, our queen moving to h7 would be checkmate. But there's a problem. I hope you were paying attention to what black was going to do. By the time your bishop gets to a3, black can advance his pawn to b4, which basically shuts down the diagonal. So that's not quite going to get it done. Is there another way to get your bishop to this long diagonal? There sure is. And the person playing white, women's grandmaster Alyssa Galyamova, found it. Bishop to f4. And the bishop is going to head to the d6 square, and queen h7 is in fact mate. Now, you might have not originally thought of this move, because the knight could just capture the bishop, right? But wait a minute, chess kids. What was that knight's job on g6? It was to guard the h8 square. Queen just moves to h8. It's game, set, match. So, the knight was not able to take the bishop in the game, and we know the bishop is headed to d6. So what does black do to stop that? Well, black moved the rook to a6. Now there's two attackers on the d6 square. So our bishop actually has to use a backup plan. d6 is no longer available, but what other active square could we put the bishop on? Yeah, the e5 square. And the bishop going to e5 attacks g7. That's great news for us, because when our queen hops into h7, check, the queen will be able to capture on g7 and continue the attack. Notice we didn't actually count the material in the starting position, but white is only down one pawn. If white gets the pawn back, then white is attacking for free. And even if we don't end up delivering checkmate, at least we won't be down material anymore. It's great to attack for free. Okay, so after bishop to e5, we all see what's coming. Queen h7, we already said that. So in the game, black's king decided to run away, the square f8. Now, let's take another pause. Sure, we could go ahead and dive in with the queen, but you know, the knight is not actually needed to guard h8 anymore, because queen h8 is no longer made. The king can run away. So if your queen dives in, he might actually take your bishop off the board and survive. Let's go back to our idea of inviting all of our friends to the party. Which one of white's pieces has no friends right now? I think it's this rook on d1. Can we find a useful square for this rook on d1? Well, I know the open file looks pretty exciting. In fact, the open file looks pretty exciting. In fact, rook to c1 is probably okay. But it's the other open file that's the juiciest. Let's move this rook to e1, exactly what Alyssa did. Now notice, if this knight ever takes the bishop, you're going to take back with the rook. The queen's going to run away to safety, and now the king has no luft, and queen to h8 is mate. In fact, there's basically no good move here for black. We're threatening too many things attacking the e7 square. Let's just give black some random move, pretend black tries to checkmate us by advancing his pawns. There's a really, really sweet checkmate coming up, or it wins black's queen either way. Pause your videos and see if you can find a way to either win black's queen or deliver mate in about 3 or 4 moves. Well, chess kids, when you're given a tactic, start by looking at checks and captures. If you found the move bishop d6, you are the hero of the day. Now, if he takes the rook, we munch on the queen, and we're going to win the game. And if he takes the queen, importantly, our rook is cleared out to attack the e7 square. That was black's big escape. So we play queen h8 check, knight takes queen, rook takes knight, and what a sweet finish that is. White wins this game because every single turn, she was asking herself, which one of my friends is not having fun? Let's invite that friend to the party. When all your friends are at the party, you're going to have the happiest time. I hope you've enjoyed my lesson. Stick around next week for part 2 of inviting all of your friends to the party. Until next time, chess kids, this has been Fun Mastermind.
Wow, that was an amazing video. I guess you could learn from that. Next time, I asked myself during the games, what is my worst piece? And how am I supposed to make it better? And invite it to the party. Now let's look at a game for the Spanish 4 Knights. This game is Luis Paulsen against Adolf Anderssen. Adolf Anderssen was a famous chess player back in the day. This took place in the 1800s. So here, with this transposes into the Spanish 4 Knights because he just played bishop b5 first. So here he plays bishop c5. He castles and he plays and he black castles. He takes there, which is a fork chip because after knight takes c5 you play d4. You're supposed to play bishop back, but if you take, queen takes and you're better, so plays bishop back, take, or you can play f. You can take on the knight, which I would probably do, but you can also play f4. So he played knight to c6. Now the threat is e5, and you win your piece back. He's still threatening to take 2 pieces, so he keeps on advancing his pawns. Now he wins the bishop pair, and in chess, the bishop pair versus the bishop and the knight or 2 knights is always better. Here, White sacked the exchange to try to promote his pawn. In this position, White is just down in exchange for the rook, or he's just up a piece. Video provided by Arush Chuk, rating 1416.